everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask Alpar. My name is Greg Anderson. I'm joined today by Alpar Kamber, Corporate Executive Vice President and Head of Procurement Services at WNS-Denali. In today's episode of Ask Alpar, we're going to dive into the subject of procurement data. Alpar, first, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Greg. I'm excited.
And going to get right into the questions. So, I want to start at a high level here. In your opinion, why is data such an important topic for procurement these days?
That's a great question. So let's start with that. If you look at the data, the word data, where it's coming from the Latin word datum, and datum is a given thing in the past. So when you think about what data allows procurement to do, is three things, right? Number one, it's opportunities. To be able to find opportunities that we can create value, we need data. Number two, to be able to fix problems or find challenges and make sure we're fixing them. To be able to do that, we need data. And most importantly, that it applies to everything is, we make decisions, right? We make decisions in procurement, and data is very critical when we make our decisions based on data. And further to that, when I look at procurement is both creates the data and consumes the data. And if you think about the procurement ecosystem, there are multiple players in that. You got suppliers, you got stakeholders, you got buyers, you got category managers, and all are somewhat contributing to that data that's created and that's consumed. So it's really important to put that in context when we first understand what is data and how do we use that in procurement.
Yeah, thanks. Data is such a broad subject, and whenever the conversation starts in procurement about data, I think it always starts with spend data, right? People have been looking at spend data and spend analytics for years, but there's more than that, right? You said that procurement creates and consumes data, and what are some examples of other data that procurement professionals should be thinking about when it comes to their data strategy?
Yeah, it's another important one. You're right. When we go in and the first thing we look at is spend, and when we talk about analytics, it's spend analytics. And but we need to look beyond it. Obviously, spend is an output that is being generated, right, as a result of what procurement does. So we can't start with the output. We need to start with the inputs that creates the spend. So it's price data. And to be able to do something meaningful about price, you need to have trends. You need to have itemized pricing. You need to know what is the price you're paying for, and you need to normalize that. The second thing you need to know is consumption. How is consumption trending? And number three, you need to look at quality of the things and how that is measured. So there's, all those things factor in to, something that's created at the spend, which is an outcome. But to be able to do some predictive analysis and to create some opportunities, we need to get to the source of that, which is, spend, consumption, and quality, most importantly.
Yeah, for sure. And, when you think about data, in a previous video, I know you spoke about the theory of constraints, and that's a subject you know rather well. So when I think about data and procurement, what are some of the common constraints and challenges that procurement professionals face when they're thinking about data and data management?
Yeah, it's another great question. And I love theory of constraints because it allows me to think about a problem and ask why. And if I ask enough why questions, I would find the answer. So why is that data such a problem, especially within procurement? Let me just be simple and answer in two ways. I think two big reasons. One, because it's everywhere. There's no one single place you can find data. If I recall, my sourcing projects that I used to run in the past, the first thing I would go to find data is suppliers. Would go ask them, well, give me price data. What did I pay for it? Give me how much did I buy? How many did I buy? And did I have any issues with it? So the fact that we're having to go to ask a supplier for our own data for where we consume is a problem on its own. And so location of the data and where it is and knowing where it is a big constraint. Number two is there are multiple parties that generate that data, that touch that data. You got procurement, who may define what it is. You have stakeholders who actually spend the money and make orders of it, and you got suppliers who then turn it back into spend and push to you an invoice. You got finance, so there's like multiple touch points, and anything can go and go when multiple people touch on it. If you don't have the right safeguards around it, it's very difficult to keep it clean.
Yeah, that's a challenge we hear about all the time, is about the cleanliness of data. This has really been a great discussion, Alpar. Thanks for sharing how procurement pros can think differently about data and use the abundance of data that's available today, to build a stronger procurement ecosystem. Just want to do a shout out to everyone to please check the links in the description below for more information from WNS-Denali. And feel free to comment with any questions or requests you might have for future Ask Alpar segments. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today and wish everyone well. Please take care.